make sure you turn in that assignment by tomorrow, or just nicely log into the intermediate class next Thursday. And it's a really easy assignment. So this is what we're going to be working on today. I'm going to say it 2 or 3 times. And then each one of you, please write this down, because you're going to be giving me your answers individually. Now, the important thing is that you take the time to think about what I'm asking you. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, which could actually be 10 seconds, so that you can think over your answer before you start answering. If you have to write down your answer, you're also allowed to do so. Okay, so this is my question. Are you the thinker of your own thoughts, or are you repeating other people's thoughts and opinions? That's my question. And there are 5 aspects that I want you to take into account. 2, 3. Yes, 5. I repeat the question. Are you the thinker of your own thoughts, or are you repeating other people's thoughts and opinions? Before I tell you the 5 aspects, let us talk about this a little bit. What do I mean by you being the thinker of your own thoughts? One of the things I've always told you from the very beginning is to question everything. Not in a rebellious, rude way, but even if you do it in your own mind, whenever you hear something, ask a little question. Because one of the biggest problems that we're facing as a society is that people no longer have their own opinions and their own thoughts. What people simply do is, oh, I like how that sounds, I'm going to start saying that. Oh, I like that idea, I'm going to repeat that. And so I think that one of the best things you can do for yourself, for your family, for your society, for life in general, is to start thinking your own thoughts versus just simply repeating what you've heard other people say. As a teenager, it's very easy for you to be carried away or influenced, particularly by people in authority. You would think that it's easier for you to be influenced by your friends. Yeah, that happens. But what's even easier is for you to be carried away by the thoughts and expectations and opinions of people that you think are authority figures. And if there's one important lesson that you need to take from this book, The Picture of Dorian Gray, is that if you are not paying attention to your own thoughts, you are easy prey to anybody's opinion. And so I repeat the question, and I'm going to tell you the 5 different aspects. Are you the thinker of your own thoughts, or are you simply repeating other people's thoughts and opinions? And these are the 5 aspects you need to evaluate. Write them down. The 5 aspects are health, meaning are you thinking your own thoughts about health? Number 2, finances. Number 3, relationships. Number 4, legacy. And what do I mean by legacy? Let me explain that a little bit. One of the most important things that you are ever going to accomplish on earth is to make an impact. It doesn't have to be an impact that is so big that everybody in the world knows your name, but it can be an impact on 1 person or 2 persons, and that's going to be your legacy. Because after you're dead and time has moved on, people are not going to remember your shoes, your house, not even your grades in school. People are going to remember that impact that you had on them, even if it's only 1 person. So that's what I mean by legacy. So are you thinking your own thoughts regarding your legacy? And the last one is self-care. Self-care. Okay, so one more time, because you need to get this right. The question is, and this is for deep personal analysis, and each one of you is going to answer at some point. The question is, and you need to write this down, people. Some of you are just staring at me like, no, write this down. Are you the thinker of your own thoughts, or are you simply repeating other people's thoughts and opinions, particularly in these 5 aspects: health, finances, relationships, your legacy, and self-care? Okay, what do I mean by self-care? Simple. How do you take care of yourself? And this does not mean I take a shower and I use deodorant. No, it goes deeper than that. And it doesn't mean I go to the beauty shop and get my hair blown out. No, okay? Self-care means the type of books you read, the type of music you listen to, what you do to relax, what you do in your free time, what you think about your future. That's self-care. Okay, so do you have any questions about the question? No? So I'm going to give you a few minutes of music, or not, who knows, while you think. Okay, people? So that's it. Let me turn this off. Okay. So once again, the question is for you to take a deep look inside yourself and figure out if you are the thinker of your thoughts or if you're simply just repeating what you heard from an authority figure or a friend. A few days ago or months ago, I read a statement that I really liked, and it said that traditions and rituals are dead people bullying the rest of us who are still alive. I liked it because a lot of times we follow certain traditions and we do certain rituals that don't really make any sense anymore, but we do them because así es que se hace. And it's simply the way in which people who are no longer alive bully people who are alive. And so there has to come a point in your life, I'm not saying discard everything, I'm saying there has to come a point in your life in which you start thinking your own thoughts and start making your own decisions instead of simply following what everybody is saying and what everybody expects from you. And that is what's going to make you a completely different adult from most regular adults that you see around you. A lot of adults, sadly, when you're growing up, you think that being an adult is such an amazing thing. You get superpowers. Not really. It's just a period of time in which you think you have a lot of freedom, but you really don't. And it's just a period of time in which you step into a lifestyle that has one of two things. It's either something that you completely got to choose or something that somebody else chose for you. Sadly, 90% of adults are simply living the life that somebody else chose for them. So this idea that when you're a kid, when I'm an adult, I'm going to be free, not necessarily true. Okay, so who wants to be first? Who wants to be first to answer this question? Are you the thinker of your thoughts, particularly in regards to health, finances, relationships, legacy, and self-care? Everybody's going to have to talk, and I'm kind of hungry, so let's make it quick. Who's going to be first?
Me.
Oh, good, perfect. The girls who's for it. Oh, I can see more of your face. Yay!
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me, Mary.
In my opinion, I make my own decisions, but also in other, I consider that I'm probably following others people's idea because my age, because sometimes they think that my decisions wanna be wrong, malas, incorrectas.
Keep going, sister. Keep going.
Tiene clase. Wait.
Okay, that was interesting. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're back to seeing your forehead. What about the answers? Health, finances, relationships, legacy, self-care. You need to tell me. Okay, maybe I wasn't clear. For each of these aspects, tell me one thing that you might be thinking by yourself or something, and one thing that might be somebody else's opinion or thoughts.
Okay, in relationships, others take like that decisions because again my age and the decision of my parents are like the only ones that counts cuenta, and like in the health I make my own decisions. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Can I?
Who's next? Oh, Rebecca? Go.
Okay, for me, I think that I doesn't make my own decisions in every point of my life, because there are many things that society teach us, like this is a rule and you have to follow it or you are ground. So there are many things that you pointed, like the health, that you have to be like healthy always or whatever. And there there are a few things that, like like younger, we doesn't follow, like, I don't know, drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes or go out on quarantine and etc. That's one point that I think that I don't follow it. Like, I have my own thought about it, but also I know that this for the concept of the other people are good.
Okay, people, good. Most of you are telling me about decisions. I'm asking about thoughts, not decisions. Decisions are good and they come as a result of your thoughts. So we go deeper. We go beyond the decisions and we go to the thoughts. The question is, are you the thinker of your thoughts? That means, for instance, in regards to health, what are your thoughts about health? Are those thoughts your thoughts or just opinions from other people? Let me give you an example. Most people think that when you are 60, you have to have high blood pressure, diabetes, you need to be taking pills every day, you need to go to the doctor because you're sick. Those are thoughts. Are those your thoughts? Or do you think it's possible to be 60 years old and not be on any medication? That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Decisions are important, but decisions comes after thoughts. So go deeper and tell me those thoughts that you have about health, finances, relationships, legacy, and self-care, are they your thoughts or are they thoughts of people that are outside of you, probably authority figures that have imposed or have influence you with these ideas? Are they your thoughts? Your thoughts regarding these aspects. Another very tricky one is finances. A lot of people think that finances have to do with good luck. Oh, she's so lucky. Relationships. People think, oh, she married a good man, she's lucky. It has nothing to do with luck. But are those thoughts yours? Are you the person that thinks, for instance, um, uh, there's an easy, common one. Okay, this one, I heard it the other day. Tienen título y ni los buenos días te saben dar. Are those your thoughts? Are people who say like, oh, rich people are bad, are those your thoughts or are you just reflecting somebody else's thoughts? And do you think it's wonderful to be poor? Do you think that calling poor people humilde is the right thing? That's what I'm getting at. Are those your thoughts? Or is this what you've heard and then without thinking you just take it and put it in your head and then base your decisions on that? Okay, so we have 2 participants. Who's gonna be third? And of course, your kids, you don't make decisions yet, but one of these days you will be making the important decision, and those decisions are going to be related to your thoughts. So that's why we need to work on the thoughts. Who's next? This is Juicy.
Me.
Go ahead, Mimi.
Okay. When we start growing, it's...
Wait, who is Abraham Sanchez and why is he here? We don't have an Abraham Sanchez in this class. Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, you. Go ahead.
When we start growing up, it's impossible to have our own thoughts because we are kids. So the only way for us to learn is from parents and grown-ups. So for me, it's impossible to not be influenced by others because by talking to others, you learn their type of problems and things they like, and then those things goes through your mind, and you know, start having those thoughts that they have too. It's impossible to not have the same thought as your people around you, because at the same time, if you are thinking the same as them, you can be like acceptable to the society, and people will think that you're capable of understanding all type of different people. So in my opinion, I do sometimes have the same thought as others. We all do, because it is impossible to not have the same thought, because we are human. We like to talk to other people, hear others people's opinion, and sometimes people around you tell you things that you don't want to know, but you are human and you're like, oh, it's that true, and you follow the thoughts that they have, because you know, you don't search too much. You just like to communicate with people, and you think, and we think that talking to them is going to make us our life easier. Basically gain more information easier than going through Google and search in YouTube what is having a relationship, how can you manage your money, and all those things. It's impossible to not, for me, to not have the same type as other. But I know that sometimes we don't like to follow the things that society say that we should do, and you know, act like, because I'm like that. I'm stubborn sometimes. People tell me you have to look nice and small and cute, because if you don't look like that, nobody's going to marry you. You know, in my mind, there are all those things, because a lot of people are saying it. But I'm like, heck no, I'm not going to follow that. You know, so we sometimes do have those same thoughts, but at the same time, like you say, we first are thinking, then we do and make the action and a decision.
Okay.
So in that way, you could think, but you could act too. So it's okay for you to think the same way, but don't do it, because I think if you do it, you will keep continuing thinking about those same thoughts that people around you have.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know. I do understand you, and that's really, really good thoughts. Good. So people, we're thinking about our thoughts, and we're trying to decide which of our thoughts are our thoughts, or are we simply repeating other people's thoughts. So yeah, this is good. And people, short, because it's a whole bunch of you, and I'm hungry. Okay, who's gonna be next?
Me.
Mari Foster. Let's go.
So I think that our thoughts are based on our experiences, and it's difficult for us to have a thought on something that we haven't experienced. And I think that in that point, we attract, or we want the thinking of other person. There's where we how do you say that, have the opinion of other person. And from my perspective, I think that when I have a thought and I follow that thought and something gets bad into it, I think that I start changing it. But I don't really automatically like copy and paste other people's thoughts, because I want to experience why they think like that. And by experiences, I get my own thoughts. And for example, in finances, I haven't been involved in that, I think. And I get the opinions of my parents. But I think that somehow I want to know why they think like that, and want to prove if they are true, or if what they are saying is true. And that's why I base my thinkings, or my thoughts, on things.
Okay, good deal, good stuff. Who's next? People, there are no wrong answers. Go ahead,
Isabella.
Isabella. Go ahead.
Okay. I really think that you can be influenced by others people thought, but I also think that most of the people like at our age can have can take can decide if they have their own thoughts or just copy others, because your legacy depends also, as you said, our thoughts about our legacy. I think that our legacy depends on our thoughts, because maybe someone will say, I will do same things as my brother, but other ones just don't care and want to do what they want. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I mean, like, I feel like you gotta be free to have your own legacy. Do what you want and don't care about other ones. And about the self-care is the same thing, because I've listened a ton of times that, for example, the music, oh, if you listen to Bad Bunny, you're a chacal. If you listen to I don't know, some classic music, you're fancy and so delicate. But that's not true. The music don't define you. That's a part of you that you like, but that doesn't define you.
Yeah. Good stuff, Isabella. Good stuff. Okay, who wants to be next? Are you the thinker of your thoughts, or are you simply reflecting other people's thoughts and opinions? Come on, people, everybody's got to talk, so who's next? I'm going to start calling names. Do you want me to name names? Okay, Soto, you're next.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know, cable onda. Okay. So, hello.
Hello, Soto, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, yes, talk. Would somebody please text that chat and tell him we can hear him?
Well, I consider that I have copied the thoughts of everybody. I mean, I have heard all of them, and I will take what makes me feel comfortable. So it's like I have all in my plate, but I will choose what makes me feel comfortable or happy or good, whatever. So I think it's an experiment. So, well, I'm thinking this way and I'm gonna try it, but it is on me if I see if it's working for me or not. Because there's a lot of people that knows that things are not working, but they still do it, even though they know it's not working and it's a mess, but they don't realize it's not working. So if you ask me that in health, financial, relationship, legacy, self-care, I have heard the opinions of everybody, parents, friends, internet, but I will decide which I want to apply in my life. Got me?
Got you.
Got me.
Okay, that was
Okay.
interesting. That was interesting. Okay, who's gonna be next? Adrian.
So, after putting some thought to it, I came to the conclusion that most of our thoughts or personal thoughts come from an understanding of definition, if that makes sense. If you understand, for example, someone tells you that red means love or means blood, and you see a red flower on the street, you're going to associate it either with love or with death. Like, oh no, it's dying, or that has something to do with death or whatever. So when it comes to our own personal thoughts, however, I think that when we are given some little bits of information, like for example, religion, we're told that um, you need to be good because if you are not good, God is going to punish you, or you're not going to go to heaven. So you automatically, by feeling that missing points, you're going to go to the conclusion that you're going to have to be fearful of God to a certain degree. Like if I am not of His liking, He's going to smite me or something. So when it comes to things like um, health or finances, if someone gives you just like the most basic information about any subject, you also unconsciously you're gonna feel it on your own. For example, health. Nobody tells you that you need to take care of yourself, right? Nobody tells you that you need to like eat healthy. You need to go to the gym, do exercise, and eventually, when you look at people that didn't do it or act the same way as you do, you're gonna realize that because they're older than you, that's like the natural conclusion. Like they're gonna be fat because like being 30 means that you're gonna have to be fat. You're gonna have a little like belly. Or with finances, people teach you like that's a thought that I have like a couple of weeks ago. When I was looking at my mom's house, she has a house around, right? She has a lot of things on the walls, pictures and paintings. And I came to the conclusion that if you grow up on a space where there's a lot of like little things, like little objects, right? What's the word? Adornos. What's the word for that? There's many adornos around the house, and basically you're gonna have to grow up thinking that you need to fill that space in the house that you see around empty. So I guess that's where it comes over personal thoughts, that part of missing information that we fill in with our own beliefs.
Yeah. Okay, that's great, Adrian, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem that I have with it is if you're doing it because you want to, or you're doing it because it's just in your head, like a little virus. Okay, good stuff. Who's next? Eduardo Soto, mute yourself. Diane, you're up.
Okay, I think that I am a very open, so I'm
Well,
always
I got him.
like receiving others' opinions because I'm curious. So, and I have listened as Eduardo many opinions, and I think that the best for me, I will choose that. For example, lately I've been like listening this opinion. For example, your clothes defines you as person. For example, this t-shirt I have is my brother's t-shirt, but this doesn't define me as a person. This is just like piece of what shirt. And um, well, okay, this doesn't define my sexuality or
sexual identity. So also the music doesn't define me. I mean, I think that we should be all free, and that's it. I think about you do what you want, and that's it. Also, another thing is that people say like, if your parents are like this, you should be like this. You are going to be like this, and that's not true, because maybe someone could be raised like in this very misogynist, for example,
misogynistic.
misogynistic space, but you can change that. You can change your thoughts, because if you put the effort and you want to change, you can do it. That's it.
Yep. Good stuff. Who's next, or should I keep calling out names?
I wanna talk.
Go ahead, Moises.
I agree with what Gary said, because maybe your parents or your authority figures, they are very strict and they are like very conservative, but then their children, or you know, the people that they are trying to teach these ways of being like really strict and always going to school, and that their children might become like really rebellious against that, and so they are opposing their authority. And I don't know if that's freedom of thought, or if they're just going against their authorities because that's what they want to do. I also think that you have to know when to take advice, because for something like health, maybe it would be a good idea to listen to your doctor. Like if he tells you about, I don't know, health, what they teach you about, I don't know, like your diet. You should take care of your diet. If your doctor tells that to you, you should probably listen. But if someone on the internet or some random person on the street tells you that you should start eating, I don't know, salads and fruits every single day and don't eat meat, I don't think that you should precisely listen to that. Also on finances, I think it's really dangerous, because a lot of people want to take you into these like money-making schemes, and they tell you, oh, you're gonna make $1,000 a day with this simple trick. And then you have to pay to know the simple trick, and then you go to a seminar and they teach you, and then you don't know anything and you have to pay more, and you end up losing more money, and you don't have to listen to that kind of people. So for some things, I think it's good to take advice and influence, but for some other things, I don't believe that it's okay or even safe.
Good stuff, Moises. Good stuff. Who's next? Amir.
Well, I think that I have some thoughts that some people have, because I have allowed those thoughts to enter in me. Because I think that those thoughts can teach me how to be a better person, like Moises said. And also I have different thoughts because we are in a growing process, and in this process we start to see how is the life, and we start to have thoughts that are different to the thoughts that other person have. We start to have our own opinion. We start to see how is to be like a young people in these days, and those kind of stuff. And yes, I think like that.
Okay, good. Layali.
Me.
Who said me?
Me.
Okay.
Okay, after Layali, Abram. Not Abram, what's her name? Daniel. Yeah, Layali.
I think that most of time I think for myself, but sometimes I am guided by what others say. For example, I listen to what my parents say on any type of topic, but I do not agree with what they say. I believe that I think for myself in all aspects, but I can also accept opinions of others. If I agree with what if if I agree what they say, I think I think that it would be impossible for a person not to be guided by the thoughts of others in his life. But I think that you also have to learn not to be guided by that all the time.
Okay, good. So people, this has nothing to do with starting to disobey your parents. And it's true. I like what Layali said. You listen to them, you're respectful, you obey if you have to, but then you start making your own opinions and forming your own thoughts. And something that Moises said, which is also very interesting, uh, if your doctor tells you that you need to change your diet, you should probably listen to your doctor. But if some random person on Instagram says, let's only eat lettuce and tomatoes, it's the best thing, you have no reason to follow that. But you see, precisely what's happening is that people are following these random thoughts, thinkers, random influencers, instead of stopping to think like, hey, no, I don't agree with this thought. Let me have my own thought. Okay, so we continue. Go ahead, Daniel.
Okay. I think that sometimes in totally common decisions, when it's come to choose, like for example, a clothes that we like, for example, a person say that no, that is ugly, and in the end they choose by us. For example, in finance or business, sometimes we choose to open a business so with opinion with other person that, for example, they say, hey, this McDonald's, you can open a McDonald's that generate money, but it's not your idea, or that is not your opinion. You open a McDonald's because people say that generate money, and I think that generate or those ideas and decision make us be more of us. And I think that we should not be afraid to make our decision and ideas. That's it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And particularly when it comes to politics, there are a lot of people who, for instance, in the previous government, they would talk about how the president was very slow. But if you ask them, give me an example of something, they can't tell you an example. They're simply repeating what they've heard. Varela Tortugon, but they don't know why. So yeah, that's important stuff. Let's go with Nessin Botello. Let us hear your thoughts.
Well, I'm honestly now I'm really confused because the start of the questions were about a kind of a more personal and kind of self-centered definition of this question. But now I see everyone generalizing it to extrapolating. So I will go with what I thought initially.
Thank you. Be the thinker of your own thought. Thank you.
I think that I'm. No one can be one exactly of any of this, because we all get to the world with not an empty mind, but yes, we don't have the articulated ideas that we end up having in our adulthood. And since this is the way that we start in this world, we have to pick and choose ideas that we get along the way. The thing is that having an idea, it's different that actually being able of work that idea in a way that allows you to understand it and also generate something new about that idea. The way that I think ideas should be considered in one's life, it's that you get this idea, this kind of state principle, and you put them in a lot of quote marks to say, okay, this is what you say. You have, of course, experience, maybe, to say that this is particularly maybe true statement. So I will take that. And I will see if this apply to the things that I have observed. So if you get yourself so much to an idea that somebody else put and you never question it, even though you see evidence that this might fail in certain cases, even if you can just remember something that had happened to you or in your in the space of your in which you are you have some kind of conscience of what's happening, and that disapprove this idea. So one person will probably like to go with this simpler definition of this issue, so it's a little bit easier. So I've seen this in myself also in the terms of finances, not because I have fallen something, but I have been a lot. I have a lot of dependence in other people's opinions about how does it work, and that's because I never get to the point in which I was actually actively trying to understand it in a very deep way, or at least taking in account other people's opinions and see if those things actually count for all of the cases, or it can fail. So see if there's some kind of truth there. So I think that along with the time, we get some ideas, and the really critical part of the thinking process is to not to select ideas as wrong or right, but analyze them in the parts that might have something worth thinking about. For the matter, I can about terraplanism, some kind of that. This idea is ultimately stupid, but it gets me into one thought process that was, why do we believe things, and how does one, because these people use the scientific method to prove their thoughts, and even though they saw evidence, they didn't get to the point when they questioned the things that they have thought, because the narrative in their minds was so well written that for them there was no mistake. There was some other explanation of why the earth appeared to be spherical and moving, but actually it's not. That was the mindset in which these people get. And I take that thought as a way to understand something that it's not really the point of the people that formulate it, but actually tells me something about their thinking process in general, or the way that people address certain stuff. So for me, that's the really important point. We should go in the life and understand that our ideas will not always be the same as are now, and other people's ideas will also vary with time, which means that if you hear something about from someone, almost certainly they in the future will have by themselves found something that disapprove this current idea that they have, which means that you can say almost certainly that you need to take everything that people give you as something that you should examine. In the matters of health, I've never particularly liked definitions of another people, because I thought that because it was so personal, it will work more if I just found a way to understand it from myself, because maybe there are things that are being accounted for other people's life, and I can use a map that other people write to part of a place that is not their own place. I cannot start from any point and go in the same direction and achieve the same things. I have to understand certain stuff. So I give myself that point to observe what I can understand about the relationships, about the way that people address it, and try not to do the things that I can understand that why they that are wrong, and I can understand why.
Okay,
and
so I'm gonna have to cut you off, Nassim, because it's time. And Aranza, Genesis, and Natalie, you're gonna be for next week, so you have extra time to prepare. And people, those of you who have not turned in that assignment, you have until tomorrow to do so. And you should have read by now chapters 1 to 12 of The Picture of Dorian Gray. So we're gonna end the class like this, and next time we're gonna pick up with these 3 girls and Sarah, who's also missing, these 4 girls, and the next topic. Okay, so see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.